Alright, let's create a new file and start reading our CSV file by using the DateReader class from the CSV module. Okay. Alright, so we are going to interact with this particular data here, which is a web file. We have the product code, description, unit, quantity, mass, and also the total mass. Okay, so let's create a file and start reading it. Okay. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is import our CSV module. Okay, so to read the file, we need to open the file in a read mode. Call it waybill.csv. Okay. We don't want any new line, so we need to set it to empty. Alright, so we name it CSV file. So now, as we've opened the CSV file in a read mode, we need to actually pass the file, right, to the date reader. So we call it reader, and then csv.date reader, then we pass in our file. Okay, so that's all that we need to do. And in the date reader, we're actually going to access the data like how we access data using dictionaries, right? So we can use the for in loop. Let me say row then reader. Okay, so next what we need to do is to write the data to the console, right? I'm going to use f string here, and then I'll pick some few columns to work with. So I'm just going to do with the product code. I'm going to use a string interpolation. Then so we are going to access the data like how we access data in Python, right? What is wrong here? Okay, we need to use the single quote. Okay, I think that is so. The next thing that I'm just going to work with is going to be the description, and okay, that should be here. Okay, so with a date reader, it's much easier to access information or data from the reader object, because you can access that data like you're accessing data in a dictionary, right? It's just as simple as that. Okay, so let's run the code and see. Bingo. So that's it. Just great. We're able to load our file in here. So that is great. Okay, so now you've learned how to use DateReader to read CSV file. Next up, we're going to use DateWriter to write or generate our own CSV file, right? So let's create a new file and do that. Okay, so as usual, we have to import our CSV module. The date reader and the date writer class work with dictionaries. So let's first of all create list of dictionary data. So say users discuss list. So here we are going to use dictionary, right? And we say first name, Mark, let's say last name, so last name Olako. Then we have age, $25. Let's just create one more. The next one, the first name is going to be Patience, and the last name is going to be Frank. Then the age is going to be 20. Okay, so I think the data that we have is good enough to be able to write to the CSV file. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is to create the key for the date writer class, because the date writer class takes the column names as a key, so that it will use that one to generate column for the first row, right? So what we need to do is we will just name it just a field's name, and then which is going to be list, and the list actually is going to be the data that we have here. Let me just copy this. And the age, right? So this is actually going to be what the date writer class is going to use to create the column names, right? So now the next thing we need to do is just to open the file in the write mode. Okay, so open is the write mode, then we don't need any new lines, so we set it to empty. Okay, so we call it CSV file. So now as we've opened the file in the write mode, we need to create the CSV date writer object. So that date writer, and here date writer is actually going to take in the file, which is a CSV file we just created. Then it needs the field's name, which is actually the key that the date writer is going to use to create the column names, right? So now as we've created object, the date writer object, we need to first of all create the header of the file, or the column names, right? So we are going to use a function called write header. Now this one is actually going to use this data here to create the column names for us, like this specific columns names that we have here. That is what it's going to do. Okay, so let's move on. The next thing that we can do is look through the files and then write it. So we are going to call on write rows, or write row rather. So then we pass the row in. Now let's run this code and see. Okay, so we have our file being created here. Now let's observe it. Good. So everything is here. We have the column names here, the first name, last name, and the age, and the data also is right here. So the next one thing you can also do is so far you have all the list or all the data as a list, you can then use the write rows function to pass in the list of data that you have, which is actually going to do the same thing. So let's say 2 here, and then let's go ahead and run the code again. Okay, so the second one was created for us and it's the same thing. So when you have the list of data, you can therefore use the write rows function to be able to write the list of data. If you find value in this video, hit the like button. Comment down below if you have any questions and I'll be happy to reply to them. If you want to learn software programming online and you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, subscribe and hit the notification button to get content from this channel when published. That's it. See you next time.